Sure. Okay. Magdi Kalani report. We welcome our guest. He is one of the most intellectual, respected sketch writers in Westminster, Andrew Gimson, author. This is your third book, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is. I think it may be even be my fourth book.
Your fourth book.
I wrote a forgotten novel as when I was a rash young man. But now,
oh, the
now
novel.
I'm doing
I
history.
read that novel.
No.
Oh, right. Yeah. The book here is called The Gimson's Prime Ministers.
That's true. Yes.
Just for actually about the book, you're a sketch writer, and I can see your sketch writing about prime ministers here. What's the art of sketch writing?
Well, they are. Yes, I suppose it's in a few with a few strokes of the pen to give an idea of someone how someone actually looks and what their temperament is.
That's before the cameras were allowed in Westminster.
Yes, the cameras. Indeed, even the writers were not allowed in Westminster.
Oh, that was going back to before.
That's going back. No,
1802.
Well, yes, exactly. Yes. No, they. I mean, people like Dr. Johnson, the great Dr. Johnson, had to make the speeches up.
I see,
so unfortunately, we've lost very great orators from the 18th century.
You also, your earlier book was about Boris Johnson, who is now a great friend of ours, but he's also now the foreign secretary. How is he handling the Russian crisis?
Well, I think he's handled it quite well so far. I think the Prime Minister's handled it very well. And the Prime Minister is, I mean, someone compared her the other day to David Beckham, a footballer who's very, very good at set pieces and not so good in sort of broken or open, flowing play. But this is a set piece, or she turned it into a set piece. She waited several days, she worked out exactly what she wanted to say, and she said it. And she's been backed up by the Foreign Secretary, but he hasn't been, I mean, obviously he's an important bit of it, the whole thing, but the Prime Minister has taken personal control, as indeed the Prime Minister should, when something as serious as that happens.
Compare him to his Russian counterpart.
Oh. Well, I don't think they've called Boris uneducated, have they?
Yeah, they said he's something like...
They call the Defence Secretary uneducated, I think.
Yeah, he lacks education.
No,
that's the Defence Secretary.
They said that about the Defence Secretary.
Defence Secretary, yes.
Which I fear may conceivably be true, but...
well, before we show the pictures in your book, actually, I'm quite sort of laughed quite a bit about the list of what the Prime Minister needs. Courage, number 2, luck.
Yes. The cards have to fall right for you. And of course, the longer you keep going, the more chance there is that they will fall right for you. But, I mean, the greatest of all, Churchill, only became British Prime Minister because of Hitler.
Because of Hitler and because of Chamberlain, actually.
And because Chamberlain had
mishandled it.
Yeah.
Can Luxor, which again, a Prime Minister, which you said he was a great entertainer, Harold Macmillan, which we use loads and loads of his quotes, events, dear boy, events.
Yes. No, he was, and also he could use humour to diffuse awkward situations with the Russians, actually. When Harold Macmillan was speaking at the United Nations on arms control, and Khrushchev was banging with his shoe on the table, very bad manners. Macmillan just said as an aside, well, I'd like it translated if you would, which produced a great laugh against the Soviet leader.
Also, one of the lists here, what we do with our prime ministers, I think, I forgot it was, but the list we're saying, they are our scapegoats or our like human shields or something.
Yes, they are, yes. There's someone who takes the blame. And originally, 300 years ago, they took the blame on behalf of the king or the queen. Now they take
Walpole was the first one.
Now they take the blame on behalf of the people. And so if something goes really badly wrong, then the Prime Minister is, I mean, Tony Blair is blamed for Iraq. Well, he was very much in favour of the Iraq war.
Yeah, well, I hang my head in shame, actually.
Oh,
because
no,
I
don't want you to, no, I'm not attacking you.
Sorry. No, but actually, you started with Walpole, of course. He's the first sort of Prime Minister, and he was there for 20 years. He's the longest serving Prime Minister.
Yes.
And is there any comparison between him and Blair? Because he was also accused of being a crook or being handling money.
I think there is comparison between Walpole and modern Prime Ministers, because what the Prime Minister has is patronage. He can give you various jobs, and which MPs very much want. He has over 100 jobs in the government, and people really want these jobs. In Walpole's time, the jobs were very, very well paid. You could become a rich man by getting one of these things. Nowadays, they're not You don't get enough money to build a palace, as Walpole did in Norfolk. But there's still things that people really want. So patronage has remained, in a way, a constant feature of how one of the ways in which the Prime Minister tries to control the House of Commons, which is basically what they have to do.
Well, we have to leave our audience here to digest this one and take a little break. استراحة قصيرة نعود بعدها إليكم. ابقوا معنا. And then the last one, we just told the story about the two ladies in the village. طبعا الرجاله اللي كانوا بيغيروا ملابسهم احرجوا وصرخوا وطلعوا جري من الحمام، بس اكيد ما لهمش ذنب، بس ده ضمن للنسوان حمله دعائيه كبيره. والان عوده لطيفه. Thank you very much for staying with us, Andrew. I was going through your book and actually enjoying it so much. And I love, who did the illustration?
Martin Rosen. The book is worth it for the illustrations alone. He's a very, very good
Duke of Wellington, obviously, the boot.
Superb, yeah.
Yeah, yes, and Earl Grey.
Yes.
Is that he? Well, beside Earl Grey and the cupcakes and the tea, what else? I didn't read this bit about Earl Grey. What?
Well, Earl Grey is Lord Grey of the Reform Bill, which was a very, very big constitutional change, and sort of set. He didn't intend it. He was an aristocrat, but it actually set Britain on the path to democracy. Yes.
And obviously Peel was the one who founded the police.
He founded the police, and then he split his party over the Corn Laws.
Yes. But he also had quite a lot to deal with between the Whigs and.
He did. He founded the modern Conservative Party. Yes. So good. And then almost destroyed it, but he founded it. Yes.
And the prime ministers here, I don't know if you've been a little bit unkind to Anthony Eden.
Oh, well, I'm sure, are very knowledgeable. I think his book he wrote in old age, Another World, about fighting in the First World War.
Yes.
And about his life, the life on the family estate before the First World War, is a very moving book. Yeah. But I think he was too thin-skinned. He took the press too seriously. And when the Daily Telegraph called for the smack of firm government, he thought he could provide it by the Suez thing, which was a very disreputable thing.
I know, but the Suez, I mean, first of all, he was trusted the French, which no one should.
Ah, yes. Yes.
The second point is he was put on the spot by Colonel Nasser because Churchill warned him against Colonel Nasser, and he trusted him too much. But I think he's all the way aside. So,
but he didn't square the Americans, which was
that is the thing.
And of course, the Americans had this very anti
the
British Empire.
Their move in the 50s was to actually replace the British Empire.
And Eisenhower had an election coming up, but that was a very big
mistake.
Yes.
I love also when you quoted Macmillan about the intelligence propaganda office in North Africa.
Oh, yes.
When he warns Carson about going, what he expects the Americans.
Yes, we're the Greeks. We're the Greek slaves to the Romans, who are the Americans.
Savages.
Who have got a lot more money than us and a lot of energy, but they're basically barbarians, yes, compared to us, yes. And we have to control them without them realizing that we control them, yes.
And I'd love also the stories told about Harold Wilson, who was actually the first election I covered.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, now giving away my age.
Yes, no, you're an authority, yes.
But Wilson, I'd be surprised you didn't give much to his mistaken foreign policy, which is withdrawing from east of Suez.
Oh, yes. Well, I suppose...
The Arabs are very upset about that.
Yes,
that was the beginning and end of an empire.
Yes, it was. That was a... Yes.
Again, he Blair.
Well, yes, I don't know.
Okay, I love the quote you got here, Blair's quote on, I think most people who have dealt with me think I'm a pretty straight sort of guy, and I am.
Yes, I know.
It's a kind of statement that Del Boy would say.
I think he stored up a lot of trouble because he convinced people that he was moderate by attacking his own party. And I think Corbyn is a kind of belated revenge on Blair. That's why Corbyn is popular among Labour activists.
One of my favourite quotes, the comparison you made between Wilson and Brown, one kept us out of the Vietnam War.
That's it, yes, and one kept us out of the Euro, yes. That's what their defenders say, yes.
Okay, let you tell the audience your assessment of the old girl.
Of Margaret Thatcher?
Oh, no. Oh, Margaret Thatcher is sort of everyone knows. And all our viewers love Margaret Thatcher, and they think she's the second best thing happened to Britain after Churchill.
Yes. Well, Theresa May called this election, which she thought she was going to win an enormous majority, and of course she ended up with rather fewer MPs than before. So that was a dreadful shock. But I think her very weakness has proved in some is one reason why the different parts of the Tory party want to keep her, because they each think that if she was replaced, they might get someone who is less amenable to pressure. And they also think that she's quite professional about Brexit, which is a very tricky technical thing. Let her do that and then replace her with someone else before the next election. I think that is there. Because as a campaigner, I'm afraid she was a failure.
Right, okay. That is sort of an authority on Prime Minister's assessment of the headmistress.
Ha, yes.
Andrew, thank you very, very much.
Thank
and
you.
We thank our viewers while I'll let sort of Andrew sign my copy of the book. Thank you very much and see you next week. هذا كل ما لدينا. نشكركم. لا تنسوا متابعتنا على الفيسبوك من لندن وعلى تويتر @داوش one word. إلى اللقاء في الأسبوع القادم.